There is that allegory that's told in the first person. Let's revisit it and see what it brings for us. I had visited Hamid many times over the years. He was my spiritual mentor, my teacher, my guide. But this occasion was different. There was an air of intensity, seriousness, and authority that was not present in our previous meetings. And as he guided me to the large tree under which we always sat when he imparted his teachings, I felt a sense of anticipation and even trepidation. When we sat, Hamid said, "Sit up. Listen. This is the last guidance I will give you. Look, you see that mountain yonder? There resides your spiritual master, the perfect master. He awaits you. You must take the path to him alone, but my voice will guide you. You see the path? It begins here." So I got up and I walked along the path. And as I did so, I felt the grass under my feet. I began to hear the sound of the birds, the rustling in the trees. And I remembered those times when I'd been in nature and felt the oneness, the wonder of being enveloped by the elements, the smells. But as I felt myself with the need to lie down in the grass and wallow in that sense, Hamid's voice came to me and said, "Stay awake on the path." And so I continued to walk until I came almost to the foot of the mountain. And as I did, I could hear the sound of running water. And as I approached, I saw in front of me a great cascade, a waterfall tumbling down and eddying in a pool below, whirling as it reached its destination at the bottom. And slaking my thirst, for thirsty I was, I began to hear something I had not heard before. It was like the water was speaking with me. For the first time, I found that water had a voice. Not trickling, not tumbling, not roaring, but speaking to me in a voice that I could hear clearly. And oh, I wanted to join that vortex. I wanted to tumble into that which seemed to be a sound that contained all sounds, the sounds of all the waters of life. But Hamid's voice came to me again. Do not be mesmerized by the vortex, the cycles. Stay on the path. So stumbling a little, I went on further, and the climb began until I reached a place where suddenly the sun was bursting through the trees. And Hamid's voice spoke to me again and said, feel the sun, feel the heat, feel the fire, the potential of what the sun brings. And so I basked in the feeling of the sun. I felt it on my skin. I felt it penetrating to the deepest part of the marrow of my bones, feeling its warmth, feeling its fire, a fire that I had in me. I felt one with the sun. Oh, I wanted to stay there. This sense of oneness with the creator, preserver, destroyer of life. But then Hamid's voice came again. Do not be seduced. Continue. And so I climbed and climbed until I found myself on a rocky outcrop, a cliff. And Hamid's voice said to me, feel the wind, lift your arms and feel the wind. And as I did, I felt like a great eagle, the wind lifting my wings. I could feel myself beginning to soar. Oh, I was ready to take that leap and let the wind carry me where it would. And the sound of the wind was great in my ears. But then, as from a distance, I heard Hamid's muffled voice. We are not here to go with the flow. And then more clearly, as I came back to my sensibilities, Hamid's voice was clear. Turn, turn, and go on. But when I turned, there in front of me was a rock face with a small aperture, a small opening a crevice in the rocks. I knew that I had to go there, but I was afraid. Was this not the rock and the hard place? The rock of my longing to be liberated and free, and the responsibilities, the necessities, the call of life. But I knew I needed not Hamid's voice to tell me that through that crevice I must go. So not even knowing whether I could make myself small enough to pass through that small aperture, I closed my eyes and entered this space. It seemed so small. I felt myself squeezed between these two great pieces of rock. But then it happened, and I found myself on the other side. And there, in front of me, there he was, a being, benign, his eyes gentle and kind, and tears began to flow down my face. But then I heard Hamid's voice. Do not avert your eyes. And so as I gazed, as I dared to keep my eyes open and gaze in to the eyes of that being, I began to see colors swirling in front of me, all the colors. And as they swirled, they became an effulgence that blinded me. And like looking at the sun, as with all my might, all my being, I kept my eyes open. The light, like looking at the sun, was eclipsed, and I could see no more. All was dark. And yet I could feel all that was left was feeling. Hamid's voice came to me once again and seemed to take with it the blackness that had clouded my sensibilities and my awareness. And as it disappeared, the perfect master was gone. Hamid's voice came to me again. It said, turn and look. And as I did, far in the distance, in the valley below, and Hamid's voice, finally, and for the last time, for I have never heard his voice again, he said, there is life. It awaits you. What does this allegory mean for us? What is your experience? No longer needing or hearing the voice of a guide, a mentor, having merged with the perfect master in you. Have you yet turned to look at the valley? Have you entered that valley? Life